Hello, welcome. These Q&As, I'm going to run them all this week. They're going to be 10 to 15 minutes, so not a long time that you got to sit there holding your phone out. And my whole idea with this was just a casual way for me to hop on and answer a bunch of questions that have been coming in. And I know there are more. I'm encouraging more questions about how to support autistic children in speech therapy or speech pathology sessions. I prefer therapy I like the word therapy more than pathology. Seems more affirming and helpful. And the other kind of question I'll be talking about is questions about my course, Affirming Communication for Autistic Children, which is open right now, Monday, I'm talking, and it closes on Friday this week. So I've got a bunch of questions coming in, and I thought this might be the most effective way to, just kind of help you out and get you some clarification. If you've been joining in on the Evolve Your Affirming Practice podcast series, that is still available. So you can send a comment or a message if you don't have a link to that, and I can hook you up. If you've been watching my Turning Affirming webinar, a lot of the questions I've got already, I've got a couple of questions around play support that came in after that webinar. So I thought today we'll kick off with those questions, but I really encourage you to share other questions in the chat. If I can't get them to them today, I will come back to them, over the rest of the week, as long as they're, relevant and on this topic. Just checking if I haven't missed anything here, because it's just me. I don't want to miss anything. Oh, you love my talk at Noah's Ark Conference. Yay. Yay. It was very special. I gave a speech to an amazing organization last week, and it was a really, really special thing. So thank you. Thank you for being there and here. Okay. Play. I talk a lot about the idea that all play is okay. And also I talk a lot about this idea that I don't believe we should have play goals for anyone really, or for autistic children especially. So why? And this might be throwing some people, which is why I get a lot of questions following up on this. The reason is because I see play as the context for all the other stuff. Kids learn best through play, and autistic kids learn even better through play. They need play, playfulness, connection, joy, engagement as the context for learning, even more than neurotypical kids or non-autistic kids do. I'm not saying it's not important for anyone. I'm just saying for autistic kids, we need to really be thinking that play and genuine playfulness, that is the context where learning, engagement, and all the other things happen. Have a sip of water, and I'm going to get my question up. I've got my notes here with the questions. I hope I haven't missed any. Hi, Julia. See you there. Yay. Okay, this question, I actually think this question came out of my play conference talk, but it's the same topic. It's exactly a perfect topic. So yeah, I thought this is the perfect place to answer it because it's sitting there in my inbox. So someone shared, do you have any examples of how to write play type goals? Our team says they have to include some type of play goal. So I wanted to see other ways of addressing this. Now, the first thing I'm going to say is, can we question this rule that our team says that we have to include some type of play goal? Like, why? Question it to understand the thinking and the purpose behind that rule. Why use that there at a service-based level? And perhaps then do some advocacy if that is tied up with these ideas that we need to be changing children's play, which is what I'm trying to bust here. That's what we're trying to shift. So we're questioning that assumption. But okay, let's say it's there. Maybe there's a really valid reason, maybe. And for whatever reason, we're working within that structure. So then I go to this idea. If we have play goals for children, I actually believe that they should be adult goals, meaning the goal is not about the child. The goal is not about changing the child's play. The goal is not about the child doing something in play, because the moment we have prescriptive goals like that, we are saying we don't think the way the child plays is acceptable and we need to change it. And that is what we are trying to shift with neurodiversity affirming approaches. We are trying to take this idea that how somebody wants to play, even if it looks different to our checklists or to what we might have learned, to like the developmental trajectories of how play should look, which might fit neurotypical kids, doesn't have to be followed for autistic kids. And if an autistic child wants to continue to play by lining things up, or they want to continue to play with sounds and just use their mouth to make sounds, or they want to play by running up and tapping a wall all the time, and that's how they want to play, that's okay. There's always the caveat, and I've got a lot more about this in my course, Affirming Communication for Autistic Children, in various podcast episodes where I've talked about this. And yeah, so there's a lot more I go into it, but I will just call out the nuance. Like, we're not saying that a child can do absolutely anything they want. So if there's actual harm in the way that they naturally want to play, might hurt them, might hurt someone else, emotionally, physically, it might damage property, then yes, there is a case to shift that. But we're still working within the context of what is right for the child. And rather than shift their play to look neurotypical, we're trying to find a medium that honors the way that they naturally want to express themselves and enjoy the world, while also making sure that it's not causing actual harm. But, you know, these goals, like old school goals, I know they're still around, about changing a child's play, changing an autistic child's play to look more normal or typical, that's what causes harm. That causes harm to autistic children. So that there. Let me just check where I have gone and where I haven't gone in my response. Okay, so goals. Look, let's say you've got to put a goal down about play for a child. I really want this goal to say something like, for the child to express their personal preferences and self-advocate during play. For example, choosing an activity, requesting for something to stop, using any communication mode with modeling and with support, something along those lines. So that is so key, that we're not saying the child needs to play in a certain way. We're saying within the context of play, the child can learn and practice other skills. Yes. Oh, hi, Jess. And yes, it is important. Let the kids explore how they prefer to. Hi, Kate. Nice to see you all here. Yes. That's so... It feels obvious, but I know I got to keep saying it. And then I know many of you get it, you kind of hear it, and then you go, but how does it fit the service that I've always done, or the goals that I've got, or these templates in my reports that say I need to talk about the child's play development stages and things like that? Yeah, we're doing a lot of changing and shifting. And so in my course, Affirming Communication for Autistic Children, Module 2 is where I go into this a lot more. We talk about communication, interaction, and play. So there's a lot more examples and, kind of see it in action. I really encourage you, if you are a speech therapist, to check it out. I think it will work here. I hope so. Where you should, if you're on Instagram with me now, you should be able to comment ACAC, and then the link will head to inbox. If it doesn't, I'll find your message later and send it to you. And look, I also mentioned I think we need goals for the grown-ups around a child. I really want to see these in kids' goal plans in as many settings as possible. It's often missing. Like, we might think we have an idea in mind, okay, we're going to help the child achieve these goals. And we have these like covert goals for grown-ups that we kind of know in our head. We want to talk to the parent about this. We want to help them, help the parent understand something. We want to help the teacher support the child. And too often those goals are not written down. I want adult goals to be written down in kids' goal plans, in their reports, in their recommendations. Something like, Johnny's parent will learn to see the way that Johnny loves to play and join Johnny in that play when Johnny's open to it. Something along those lines. So I want to see that there are ways that we're calling out, we are changing the world around the child. We are making the changes in the grown-ups around the child that will help the child feel more connected, feel more supported, be able to communicate, be able to learn better, all of that. Thank you. That's such a cool question. So Kay, you've asked, how was my play as a kid? There's a photo I share a lot, and maybe I'll pop it up today on my stories if I can, because it's so amazing that it exists. It's a photo of me, age 3, sitting with balloons that are not blown up, because balloons that are blown up, well, they're beautiful, they're very scary because they might go boom, and it's a real conflicting thing. So I'm sitting, I've made like an arc almost of like these balloons around me, perfectly lined up, not in perfect chromatic order, which is how I would do it now. I still line things up. I've got my nail polish, I've got my pens, they're all lined up. That's how I still play now. It's joyful, it's calming, it's regulating. Now just imagine that a grown-up came in and told me that's not how you play with balloons, and took a balloon and started to blow it up, again, this conflicting thing, I would have loved it because balloons blown up are fun, but also it's freaking terrifying because they will go pop at some point, and I hate that. I'm even getting my heart rate's raising now. We do not have to change how kids play. So get really reflective. Look at the goals that you've got written down. Look at the structures you're working within and see where the change needs to be made. Again, if you want to learn more about it, I have so much more in my course. And so I think you should be able to comment on Instagram, ACAC, and the link will head over to you so you can learn more. But, and obviously if you're listening on the podcast, it'll be in the show notes and all that info as well. So the second question that I had come in about play, it came off, it really bounces nicely off this goal question. So this was something asked, actually 2 people were commenting and asking during my webinar. So I did the Turning Affirming webinar for speech therapists. We were busting a bunch of myths. It's actually, the recording is still available. So if you depends when you're listening, before the 4th of April, 2025, it'll be available to watch or listen to. Send me a message if you need help accessing that. Now, one of them said, thank you for your amazing webinar. Thank you. I had fun doing it. One of our lovely friends asked the question, how do we write a progress note after a play session? And I commented, so the other person then commented that the university always said they needed a measurable goal and we need to justify our decisions. So these 2 people sort of had this question going in the chat and I said, that is awesome. I'm going to address it later. So this is the thing. I think it again comes back to what the goals are. If we have goals that are written about asking a child to change how they play, then sure, it follows that our progress note is going to be talking about how did the child play? Did it meet our expectations of what we think the play should look like? But if we have better goals, if we have goals that are all about communication, connection, advocacy, self-advocacy, changing the world around the child, changing the knowledge of the people around the child, if those are the goals we have, having progress notes that fit those goals just flows from there. So, for example, you could have something like, you can certainly write in your goals, what did the child enjoy? What kind of play did they enjoy? So we're just commenting on what was the context, how did the engagement go? We're just describing what did they like to do? How did they play? And take that as your moment to look really deeply, like what is engaging and interesting for the child? Not just they played with blocks. That's not very informative. What did they love doing with the blocks? How did that shift? How did that progress? Did they allow you to join in? Did they want you to join in? And then you can go to talking about your other goals. And it doesn't have to be about play. It's then, how did the communication go? Did they self-advocate? Whatever those other goals are. Maybe you have literacy goals and they're built into wherever that play context happens. Maybe the literacy goals are built within that. And then you just comment on those literacy skills. But you've already underlined, this is in the context of play, this specific kind of play that the child enjoyed. I'm going to just check back to the question if I've missed anything. Also, keep any questions coming. I might answer them now or we might catch them like tomorrow or another day. I hope that pretty much covers it for now. And as much as I can in these few minutes, so like I said, I've got a lot more in my Affirming Communication for Autistic Children course, examples of how it can look, etc. And I think what's really important to call out as well is, I don't want to demonize anyone. I don't want anyone to feel like you're doing it wrong. I want you to recognize that you've been trained in a certain way. You have, you're within a context, your workplace or your experience, your training, your learning. And this is what we're doing here. We are changing the world. The neurodiversity affirming shift is happening and it's slow. Sometimes it's slow going. You are part of it. You're a really important part of it, but I need you to be gentle with yourself. So noticing that anything you're doing or you have done that I'm saying this isn't best practice, this isn't actually what is genuinely good for the well-being of the autistic child, be gentle with yourself and recognize there is a shift to be made and it takes time and it takes humility to say, okay, I need to change. I need to do something different, but don't dwell in the, oh my gosh, I've done it badly. No, don't. Just set that aside and step forward into a more confident future. And I would love to help you as part of that. I had a question about the course. So my Affirming Communication for Autistic Children course. It is a mouthful. I almost jumble it up every time. They wrote, when does the course start? My work is super busy right now, but I want to do it in holidays. So yeah, it's on demand. So it's 12 months access. So whenever you join, doors are open until Friday, the 4th of April. And if you happen to be listening or watching this after the fact, go and check out the course anyway, because you'll see on the page what the update is, like if there's a wait list, if there's, when it's next open, things like that. But anyway, if you're watching around now, end of March, start of April, did I say May? I don't know. 4th of April is when it closes at the moment, and you then get 12 months access. So you can watch it anytime in those next 12 months. And let me check if this, thank you. Yes, Michael, you like my talking down this so-called professional who, had some dramas. You can see my last Instagram post calling out people who are just spouting incredibly ableist stuff out there on the internet. I don't think I've missed any questions. If I have, please send me a DM because I really want to come back to them. I'm going to be popping up here every day this week. So Monday, here we are, done. I will pop up on Instagram Live on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday at midday Sydney time for about this long, 10 to 15 minutes. You can DM me a question. You can email me a question. I want to help figure out, just get into the nuance of all this, what neurodiversity affirming practice looks like when we're doing speech therapy with autistic children, and any questions, if you do have questions about my Affirming Communication for Autistic Children course. I'll put your questions forward anonymously, so you can ask, if you feel it's a silly question. I'm sure it's not. Many others want to ask the same thing, so please do put that forward. I will see your name, but I won't say it aloud. But I will say hi to you if you're here. So thank you for joining me live. That's awesome to see a bunch of you here. And the recording is going to go out on the podcast on Instagram. I hope this has been helpful. I'll catch you tomorrow.